Despite the positive result against Norway in the opener, Team Canada will offer Austria a different look. Darren Millard, along with Nick Kypreos and Scott Morrison. Carey Price gives up the crease to Roberto Luongo, who skates in Olympic competition for the first time since celebrating a gold medal in Vancouver.
Well, I think it's an important start. We debated whether or not you just give it to Carey Price right off the bat, and I say absolutely not. You got to make sure that Luongo's engaged, just in case that we need to go back 4 years ago where he was in a mop-up situation. Austria should give them a little bit more pressure with the likes of Vanek and Grabner, two well-respected scorers in the National Hockey League. Might be a bigger push. Would it be a big enough push to make people believe that Luongo could earn the ice that he wants post this game? I don't think so. I think we'll see Price right back Sunday against the Finns.
And a couple of other roster moves for the game is Mike Smith will move in as the backup, and P.K. Subban will be added to the blue line. Who comes out, not entirely certain at this point. And Matt Duchene, who did not play in the first game, will also be inserted into the roster.
So Babcock has to get them some ice time.
You know what? It's really hard. And we saw St. Louis get in, close to, around 10 minutes of ice time. But let me tell you something. For these guys, they're accustomed to 4 lines, 3 sets of defensive pair. I think it has a lot to do with the rhythm of the game and the flow of the game. At times it's awkward for these guys, and I think it has an effect on the game.
And they did a nice job against Norway of getting everybody some minutes. And one of the biggest adjustments they talked about coming into this tournament was elite players having to taper down their minutes and adjusting to less ice time.
They didn't face a medal contender in that opening game, but even with a small sample size, what's the identity of Team Canada from what you've seen?
Well, I think defense, Darren, and I've said it all along. This defensive core group is the best in this tournament, and there's not another country that could touch them with a 10-foot pole, and that might be more of a challenge for Babcock to find P.K. Subban some ice time. I think it was a little easier for St. Louis in the first game, but look all of a sudden how some of these guys have already established themselves. Drew Doughty so far with the goal of the tournament, albeit just 1 game in, but Weber with the bomb. Duncan Keith, of course, Norris Trophy candidate. Pietrangelo had some good looks here too as well. So it'll be tough for PK to find some ice.
Mobility on that back end, just huge on that big ice. And we saw it even in the Swedish game against the Czechs the other day with Carlson and Ekman Larsson. Their mobility, jumping into the attack, was a difference maker, and it was huge for Canada.
Back to Canadian hockey, and the storyline the last 2 Olympic Games has been an inability to finish. We'll see if that's a conversation that takes place following the contest against Austria.